They dump the hybrids in the farmland outside the town to wander around forever, or they just kill them. The Gothic, as we know, uses incest to bring attention to depravity, obsession, unreliable narration, creation, the nature of writing itself, and women reacting to misogyny that they face in academia. Personally, it really reminds me of Frankenstein. My aim is to analyze popular dark academia books through the Gothic lens because I believe that there are a lot of similarities between the two genres. I was ideally going to start with The Secret History, which is the beginning of the dark academia genre fiction and internet movement, but I wasn't able to, getting around writing the script, and I recently finished Bunny by Mona Awad. So instead of starting with A Secret History, I'm going to start with Bunny. I'm going to apply common Gothic tropes to Bunny and analyze it through the Gothic lens to hopefully lend a new perspective to the book. Bunny by Mona Awad follows a woman in a very elite MFA creative writing program at a university called Warren University in a small town in New England. She is obsessed, is haunted by, is obsessed with, despises, and at the same time is desperate to join a group of girls in her cohort whom she called bunnies. The bunnies call each other Bunny for the most part instead of using each other's names. They are very mysterious. They are described by our main girl, Samantha, as an amorphous entity rather than individual people within a friend group. We get Samantha's descriptions of them as giant grotesque monster with many white and pink arms and bodies and eyes. Samantha, the protagonist, mainly refers to each individual member of the bunnies by some nicknames that she made up for them. Nicknames like Creepy Doll, Vignette, Cupcake, and Duchess, due to different reasons. For example, the Vignette is named such because she writes a lot of vignettes, and the Cupcake is named such because she looks like a cupcake. As we follow Samantha's obsession, desperation, and insanity, we come to find out that bunnies are a cult-like group doing rituals where they create what they call hybrids for personal use. These are human being-like creatures, which creates a lot of ethical dilemmas, which I'm going to get into later. The novel's main themes are obsession, unreliable narration, creation, the nature of writing itself, and women reacting to misogyny that they face in academia. What I find really cool about this book as well is the way that it is written, because it engages with the theme of creative writing, It is also written in a very interesting and engaging way, and also a very weird way that I've never actually seen before, really. It pushes, I think, boundaries. As well as these themes that I just mentioned, there are several other themes present in the novel that demonstrate extremely close ties to the Gothic. The uncanny. The town in which Warren University is located in is seemingly an idyllic small town in New England. There are multiple wealthy neighborhoods. The university seems to be the central hub of the town and the main selling point, and yet at the same time as this, the city is overrun with violence. Samantha describes constant rampant violence in forms of rapes, beheadings, serial killings, all pervading in a seemingly quaint and polite college town. She and her best friend Ava refer to the town as Zombie City, Rancid Aquarium Land, Jailville, Black Sky Gray Earth, and Lair of Tuhu. The contrast between this creates a feeling of uncanniness. Contrast between this idyllic nature of a college town and this terrible violence that, according to our narrator, happens in this town every single day. Despite all this, Samantha, being the unreliable narrator that she is, somehow manages to get around the town safely in the middle of the night multiple times throughout the book. But that's neither here nor there. It's the feeling that matters, the feeling of uncanniness at this point, the feeling of unease, the feeling of being in a place that is somehow wrong, permeates throughout the novel. The uncanny feeling that Samantha and Ava experience comes across as something we desperately want to escape. I felt very uneasy reading this book the entire time. Through this uncanniness, Samantha criticizes the elite nature of Warren College. Samantha describes Warren College as leeching from the town, sucking its energy like a vampire. She critiques the elitism of the school and its students by pointing this out, as well as by painting a picture of the wealth disparity between the rich bunnies and her own poor financial situation. Creation and birth. This is my favorite part to discuss. Maybe my second favorite after incest, obviously. Okay, the bunnies hold drug-fueled rituals where they create the boys, which they called their drafts, their hybrids, their darlings, from literal animal bunnies that they find on campus. They take a bunch of pills, get high, and do these rituals where, in a bloody, gory mess, the bunny becomes a boy. If the created hybrid is not satisfying their needs, or if there's something obviously wrong with them, their bodies, such as their hands, are always deformed somehow, if they scream too much, if they don't want to have sex with them, they dump the hybrids in the farmland outside the town to wander around forever, or they just kill them. Can anyone else think of a book where the creator is mistreating something that he has created by shunning it and abusing it? A book where perhaps one's hubris gets in the way of creation? Personally, it really reminds me of Frankenstein. The theme and imagery of giving birth to your creation in a bloody mess is symbolic of the process of creative writing in the novel. Samantha and the bunnies, being students in a Master of Fine Arts creative writing program, are trying to tap into their creativity by satisfying their own hubris, and they're constantly encouraged to do so by their mentor. There's actually something that Samantha keeps talking about. She refers to as the body. She makes fun of her mentors by pointing out that they constantly try to point her in the direction of some sort of inspiration by talking about the body, whatever that is. And she is not even clear on what the body is supposed to symbolize, and yet the mentors keep bringing it up as if it's supposed to be some sort of inspirational thing. By the way, throughout the novel, Samantha deeply struggles with writing. She mentions that before she came to university, writing would pour out of her. And then when she got into this university program, she stopped writing. So this is another critique, I suppose, of academia, where it, instead of being this fountain of inspiration and knowledge, it is instead like an energy sucking vampire that takes all of your energy and takes your creativity from you. This like bloody, gory, kind of messy, birth-like process of writing is sort of established here with the creation of the bunnies, or sorry, creation of the boys, the darlings, the hybrids. What the bunnies create is destructive, as it does not come from love and awe, but from desperate dedication to one's ego. The only viable hybrid is created by Samantha during the time when she has given up trying to please the bunnies, and she has given up trying to join their cult and be one of them and please them, I guess. She has decided that she will no longer give them any of herself. This self-knowledge and relentlessness is finally able to produce something which in the end destroys the bunnies: incest. Obviously my favorite topic. The Gothic, as we know, uses incest to bring attention to depravity, shocking abuse, mainly to exacerbate our feeling of disgust with the person participating in incest, usually against the will of the other party. The bunnies create these hybrids specifically with the intention to have sex with them, to use them as objects for their own pleasure. They create them after the image of the men that they have found attractive in the past or hooked up with in the past. These hybrids are supposed to be the epitome of the bunny's sexual fantasies. Interestingly, when the bunnies try to initiate sex with the hybrids start crying. They, in fact, sometimes cry to the point of screaming. so much so that it ends up with the bunnies murdering the hybrids. This incestuous, predatory, borderline rapey relationship that the bunnies have with their creation, their almost sons, is quite gothic in nature. It shows a power imbalance very commonly represented in Gothic literature, a relationship where one party uses their own influence and power to abuse or control the other. The bunnies are predators, which is really funny actually now that I think about it, because they are called the bunnies, which is a prey animal. Maybe it's the fact that they are like these young girls in academia, so they're supposed to be harmless and prey like bunnies, but they're actually predators. One of my favorite parts of the entire book was actually when Samantha became a bunny. It is such a crazy jump from us looking at the bunnies from Samantha's point of view and hating them. Us seeing through Samantha's eyes their elitism, privilege, and saccharine bullshit, to us realizing that the bunnies are actually just extremely obsessed and dedicated English majors. They are not vapid and stupid. They know everyone around them looks down on them because they are girly girls who like pumpkin spice and cupcakes and hug each other a lot. This is something that a lot of women in academia can relate to, unfortunately. They weaponize their femininity. They become mean, rancid bitches because that is what they are in the eyes of everyone else around them. Honestly, this entire book is a very interesting discussion of misogyny in academia. The writing is very elusive, not in a dreamlike way, but in a nightmare-like way. We understand that Samantha is insufferable and not like other girls, but we also understand that the bunnies are not 100% good, not 100% bad either. We don't really know who to root for. To be honest, I wasn't exactly rooting for Samantha because I found her insufferable, as I think she's meant to be portrayed. I think the important thing here is that we recognize their feelings, all of their emotions and experiences, both Samantha's and the bunnies, and are able to empathize with them. I find this like blurring of the boundaries between the characters as well as their own identities is also quite gothic in nature. Wuthering Heights famously uses a similar technique of blurring boundaries and unreliable narration to achieve the same effect, removing any possibility of the reader having unambiguous, orderly information from which to make up their minds. All we have is this sense of empathy that we're faced with when the events of the story are related to us. Okay, that's it. Stay tuned for the next part, which is going to be about The Secret History, which is one of my favorite books of all time.